Big business runs politics. Politics does not run big business. See Google, Amazon, tax breaks, and lobbying. American foreign policy, I'm not even going to go into it. Look into Manifest Destiny and what America has done in Latin America. So, the love of money, an example of things that affect politics and politicians, lobbying. So, for those who don't know what lobbying is, in politics, lobbying, persuasion, or interest representation is the act of lawfully attempting to influence the actions, policies, or decisions of government officials, most often legislators or members of regulatory agencies. Lobbying, which usually involves direct face-to-face contact, is done by many types of people, associations, and organized groups, including individuals in the private sector, corporations, fellow legislators or government officials, or advocacy groups, interest groups. Lobbyists may be among the legislator's constituencies, meaning a voter or block of voters within the electoral district. They may engage in lobbying as a business. Professional lobbyists are people whose business is trying to influence legislation, regulation, or other government decisions, actions, or policies on behalf of a group or individual who hires them. Individuals and non-profit organizations can also lobby as an act of volunteering or as a small part of their normal job. Governments often define and regulate organized lobbying that has become influential. The ethics and morals involved with legally bribing or lobbying are complicated. Lobbying can at times be spoken of with contempt when the implication is that people with inordinate socioeconomic power are corrupting the law in order to serve their own interests. When people who have a duty to act on behalf of others, such as elected officials with a duty to serve their constituents' interests, or more broadly the public good, can benefit by shaping the law to serve the interests of some private parties, a conflict of interest exists. Many critiques of lobbying point to the potential for conflicts of interest to lead to agent misdirection or the intentional failure of an agent with a duty to serve an employer, client, or constituent to perform those duties. The failure of government officials to serve the public interest as a consequence of lobbying by special interests who provide benefits to the official is an example of an agent of misdirection. That is why lobbying is seen as one of the causes of democratic deficit. Democratic deficit meaning democratic institutions or organizations who fall short of the principles of democracy. So that is acting in the interest of the people. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is from Transparency International UK, Lifting the Lid on Lobbying, the Hidden Exercise of Power and Influence in the UK. So 14 major lobbying scandals. Since David Cameron stated that lobbying was the next big scandal waiting to happen, our research has identified at least 14 major lobbying scandals. Despite the damage that lobbying scandals cause to public trust in public institutions, many lobbying distortions and abuses can occur within the rules. For example, all elected legislators in the UK are allowed to receive a personal payment in return for providing advice to lobbyists. Lawmakers across the mainland UK are permitted to retain conflicts of interest so long as they are declared. At the extreme of using money for influence in the UK, major party donors can be offered positions in the legislature itself through appointment to the House of Lords. Did you hear that? So I'm just trying to get to you a few things that influence politics, right? So big business is one of them. As we know, Amazon and Google pretty much pay no taxes where they go. Obviously, there's a financial reason for that because they bring a lot of jobs to the economy. But then a lot of these companies also exploit people, which is capitalism at its finest. But I'm going to leave this one. We're going to go to the next slide since we're dealing kind of with American politics today. So the amazing return on investment of corporate lobbying. Compare the expected return for every dollar spent. Lobbying blows any investment strategy out of the water, even a blue chip stock. It's no wonder 3.5 billion were spent lobbying in 2010. So listen to this. An ordinary American invests in one blue chip stock. Return on investment 11%. If you invested in the Dow Jones Industrial Average companies in 2010, you would have earned an average of 11 cents for every dollar invested. Big fossil lobbies for oil subsidies. ROI, 5,900%. The oil and gas and coal industry heavily lobbies Washington during the 111th Congress. They gave $347 million in campaign contributions. The same Congress approved over $20 billion in subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. For every dollar spent on lobbying, 59 were received in subsidies. That's an ROI of 5,900%. Multinationals lobby for corporate tax break. In 2004, 93 US corporations lobby for a temporary tax break to bring their offshore profits back to US banks. They argued that the money saved would be spent on creating jobs. The company spent $283 million lobbying for the measure, which was passed. Because of it, they paid $63 billion less in taxes. That's an ROI of 22,000%. The companies only spent 9% of their savings on new jobs. The Bible talks about the heart of man. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Now listen to this one. Big pharma lobbies to keep drug prices high. 77,500%. President Bush created our federal prescription drug program for seniors in 2003. The pharmaceutical industry spent $116 million lobbying to bar Medicare from bargaining for competitive drug prices. If Medicare could negotiate drug prices, it would save approximately $90 billion a year for prescriptions. That's 77,500% ROI for the drug companies. Drug companies lobbied to keep drug prices high in America, and President Bush allowed this to happen. We're dealing with the different things that affect politics. And so you want to know another reason why I don't vote? Because my vote don't make a difference when the love of money being the root of all evil, and these men not being men of God, these men not being saved, these men whose hearts are desperately wicked are in control. This is Satan's world. It's his system. He controls it. So I don't have to vote. I have to pray. I have to build the kingdom and enforce the kingdom. But we're going to get more into that. Our job is not the reform of the systems of this world. Our job is to live, build, and enforce the kingdom of God, God's way of doing things. We are in the world and not of it. Jesus answered, said, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would fight that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Satan cannot abide by kingdom principles. Hence, his system and those who adhere to it cannot.